Welcome back to my channel. Today, we'll be discussing Yes, No, or Maybe by Michi Ichiho. But before we get started, there will be spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled on this novel, go ahead and click off now. No worries, I'll catch you next time. For those of you left behind, let's go over some content warnings. There may be references to homomesia and rape, as these things do appear in the novel. But if that's all good with you, let's go ahead and get started. Key lives two different lives. Externally, he's the prince of the evening news, hardworking, kind, and humble. He's the ideal man and is adored for it. Internally, though, he's rude, conniving, and spiteful. He plays both roles so effectively that even he isn't sure which is the real him. However, his worlds collide when he runs into Suzuki, an animator who specializes in stop motion. During his day job, which takes place in the evening most of the time since he works for the evening news, Kunida lives two different lives. Kunida has to interview Suzuki. Suzuki's a chill guy and immediately rubs Kunida the wrong way. Even so, Kunida can't let it show, so he puts on the charm and the interview goes well. After work, he becomes his other inner self. From the clean-cut, dapper Kunida, he turns into the sweatsuit mask and glasses-wearing Kunida, who eats junk food and curses like a sailor. Unfortunately, during his nightly ritual to go get junk food, Kunida ends up causing a bicyclist to wreck. As it turns out, the rider is Suzuki. Kunida does his best to escape, but Suzuki demands that Kunida pay him back by helping him with his next animation. In order to avoid Suzuki discovering who he is, Kunida goes by Owari. As Kunida spends more time with Suzuki as both straight-laced Kunida and troublemaker Owari, he grows closer to him. But could Suzuki accept both sides of Kunida? Which even is the real Kunida? First off, the main character is an ass. I'd be lying if I said I didn't sometimes have those same thoughts, but sometimes it felt just a bit too hyperbolic to be funny. The worst is the cringy terms he uses, pleb being one of them. That was a word I never expected to see, and he unfortunately uses it multiple times. It's awkward and it's not said ironically, so be prepared for some cringe. However, with all that said, Kunida did grow on me. He typically said things that I have always wanted to say, and I admittedly am drawn to male tsundere for reasons I can't even explain. Something else that was rather shocking was that there were explicit sex scenes. On Amazon's listing for this title, it's listed as part of the LGBTQ+ romance for teens and young adults ebooks, and I figured with it being listed for teens it would be lewd free, within reason of course. However, don't be fooled, there are descriptive sex scenes here. They weren't unwelcome by any means, but they were still unexpected in a quote teen novel. While we're talking about the sex scenes, I'm not a big fan of reading moaning sounds. I feel they're often overdone and already not done well as it is, but this wasn't too bad. I didn't necessarily enjoy them any more than usual, but they were sparingly done, which I appreciated. Now, the art in light novels is typically pretty good based on all my experiences in the past. However, some of the artwork in this particular title are a little rough. There's not much artwork here to see, so unfortunately some of it isn't that great. A couple of them are of lewd scenes just as either a warning or maybe to help encourage you to check this out, depending on your preference. I personally would have been just fine without them. I will say the lewd ones are the prettiest, but rather than actual backgrounds, they're just of Kunida and Suzuki with some pretty effects around them. That was a little disappointing. However, the writing is pretty decent. The weird cringy words aside, and as a love interest, I really liked Suzuki. The big reveal of Suzuki realizing Kunida and Owari are the same person was pretty underwhelming, unfortunately. It doesn't even include Suzuki. Kunida discovers that Suzuki knows when flipping through his intonation dictionary, where Suzuki had scribbled miniature portraits of Kunida. When the pages are flipped through quickly, he soon morphs into Owari. It's a great idea because Kunida works in stop motion animation. There was a point where during Suzuki's interview, he had talked about storyboarding his animations and being like flipbooks by the end. I really liked the idea, but I wish we had seen more of Suzuki realizing it. By the time we get to that really sweet moment, it doesn't seem like Suzuki knows anything. There's no build up at all, so Kunida discovering it just felt really random. However, what I really liked most of all was the evolution of Kunida and Suzuki's relationship. It was really nice reading about how Suzuki just let Kunida into his world and how easily Kunida fit himself into it by simply showing up from time to time. It's a gradual transition from these two isolated individuals into a pair, which I loved. I actually also enjoyed the lack of fluff. If you're looking for a fluffy romance, this isn't it. There's some fluff sprinkled in, but it's not fluffy by any means. Something I do need to point out is the first sex scene has very questionable consent. In fact, I would say there's none since Kunita explicitly tells him he doesn't want it. This is a fairly common trope in BL where no doesn't always mean no, but that doesn't make it okay. No means no, just to be clear, so be warned, the consent is questionable in this one. With all that being said, I feel like my review of this was primarily negative, but I really didn't mind this one. I really did like Kunita despite him being a jerk 99% of the time. The concept was pretty fun since I feel like many people live double lives, though not to this extent. I also really liked that Suzuki fell in love with both versions of Kunita. It made my heart flutter a bit. I can't recommend this outright though with the questionable consent. Please be aware. And just to note, the sequel is coming out soon. Yay! I can't wait to give that one a read and review that as well. So, have you read Yes, No, or Maybe? If so, what do you think? Do you agree with my assessment? Do you not? Let me know and comment below. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time. Bye!